Now, Mikal Bridges has been a question mark for this entire fan base since he's come here. Because when the Cat trade went down, we didn't know what his role was going to be at the time. We thought he was going to be the third option. But as we can see, as the offense has been running, I think it's pretty clear. If we're looking at the number 1, number 2, and number 3 options in terms of on offense, it goes to Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and OG Anunoby, and kind of in that order. Now, I don't have a problem with OG Anunoby being the number 1 wing that we have that's being aggressive on offense. I have no problem with that. I like OG Anunoby aggressive, so there's no issue with that. My issue kind of goes to Mikal Bridges and how aggressive he is to start games. Because I feel like with Mikal, if he was more aggressive to start games, the Knicks might be up more points in that first quarter. Sometimes I feel like he doesn't contribute as much as he should on the offensive side of the ball during some of these first quarters or second quarters. And he should be able to, because a lot of times he would be playing with the bench. And if you're playing with the bench, you should have more chances to touch the ball, do more on offense, and get yourself going. If you can't even do it in the first quarter, I wouldn't mind you doing in the second quarter. I'm not a big I'm not going to criticize Mikal Bridges heavily here. I'm not going to say he's doing everything wrong, because a lot of the defense that he plays, I see it, and I know he can still play good defense. Now, at times, he does miss his defensive assignment, and it doesn't look good. I'll give you that. But Mikal Bridges overall, for me, has not been a net negative for this team. If anything, he's been more of a positive. And that shooting, even though it doesn't look that good, it still goes in. His mid-range looks good, and when his mid-range is going in, his three-point shot looks good. But some people aren't as happy with Mikal Bridges and what he's been doing for this team. One of those guys, that's Bill Simmons. And as we can see here, Bill Simmons actually trashed Mikal Bridges and how much picks the Knicks give up to get him on this team and his impact for New York. Let's break down exactly what Bill Simmons had to say about Mikal Bridges and his impact for the Knicks. Shout out to Knicks Muse on the app X for giving us the following information. Now, according to them, what was the point of Bridges and that trade? For what they gave up for him, for how little they use him, it's kind of shocking. He's like a 15 points a game guy. He just stands in the corner in crunch time. I thought he would be way more involved with their offense. So clearly, as you can see, according to Knicks Muse, that's Bill Simmons right there who said that quote. And that was about Mikal Bridges and his impact. He's not happy. He's not happy with Mikal. He's not happy with his impact. He's not happy what he's doing in terms of his offense. I can understand that at times. But here's the thing. When you have Jalen Brunson going off for 30 plus, when you have Karl Anthony Towns going off for 44, when you have OG Anunoby finally being aggressive, going off for 21 points and 20 points, sometimes it's going to be hard to find your offense. For me, one of the biggest letdowns for Mikal Bridges has not been on offense. It's really been on defense. I'm not saying he's a bad defender. He's not become a bad defender. If anything, he's still a very solid defender. But I remember the Mikal Bridges and the defense he used to play with the Phoenix Suns. I remember the level of defense he played when he was first traded to the Brooklyn Nets. And because I remember that and I see what he does now, it's a huge shift for me, and not in a good way. Mikal Bridges is a way better defender than we're seeing right now. Now, maybe it's a chemistry thing. Maybe he has to go through certain motions to get things to work. I can understand that, given how good that Mikal Bridges is and how good that we understand him to be on the defensive end. I think it's only a matter of time before everything comes together. But how long are we going to have to wait before Mikal does better on that end of the floor? Because sometimes he gets his defender right. But I think against teams like Boston, teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers, for instance, you can see who he's going up against. And whoever he's going up against the good teams, the elite teams, he gets cooked sometimes. Now, he's not the only one. Sometimes OG Anunoby, even on switches, he'll get cooked because sometimes that player on offense is just that good. But we gave up significant picks to get Mikal Bridges. And if we did that, the only reason we would do something like that is to not have those moments in games where we're dealing with the opposing team's best player. We gave up that many picks to get a player to stop that player. And not only that, we have two of them, OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. Now, OG, for me, you could say what you want to say. Maybe the only thing you can say is that he's too aggressive on offense. Maybe he shoots the ball a little bit too much on offense, and he doesn't look for his shot all the time in the right way, forces up those shots and misses. Maybe you can say that. But what about his defense? What about his corner three shots? What about his fake out threes and then still hitting that three. Nobody's going to talk about that, huh? OG Anunoby gives you that. He does that. I'll speak about it. I'll say it. If you don't want to, if nobody else is going to admit that that exists, that happens, I'll be the one to do it. You know what also exists? Mikal Bridges and his defense. It's there if you want to look for it. Not always, unfortunately. It should be better, but it's there. But it's not there in the way worth 5 first-round picks. So in a way, I agree with Bill Simmons, but not in the exact way. He's criticizing Mikal Bridges and his offense. I may want to see him be more aggressive in that way, but that's not where my criticism is. It's defensively. And sometimes he just gets outworked or beat, and he gets caught on screens. He can't move off those screens, and then the other opposing player gets an open three. And then you see him shaking his head as he runs back to the other side trying to do something on offense. We've seen it. I'm not somebody that likes to criticize Mikal Bridges because I'm a fan of him. I wanted him on this team. I was somebody that was saying for months that the Knicks needed him because he was the final piece to this roster. And I believed at the time he was the final piece. And I still do. But I think chemistry has a lot to do with it. And I thought moving into the season, when we got Mikal Bridges, we wouldn't have to deal with that much of a chemistry issue. When you deal with Cat coming in, Mikal Bridges coming in, when you deal with all of these guys coming in, what do you expect is going to happen? So chemistry is poor right now, not only because of health, but also because of the new players. We have to give that time. So I can understand the offensive struggles. I'll give that time. Defensively, we have a problem. You can say it's 7 games. Include the preseason. Do you still think we have issues? Because I do. I know we have issues defensively. I can see it. We all can see it. Inside, it's a problem. We thought the penetration defense that we had with Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby would stop players from wanting to go inside and attack anybody we had playing the 5. And now we know, no matter how good your wings are, you need a dominant 5 inside to get rebounds, block shots, and create that fear. Towns is not that player. And Mikal Bridges needs to become that player for us on defense. And that needs to happen fast. Where's the Mikal Bridges that gave us lockdown defense when he was part of the Phoenix Suns? That's who we need. You get that Mikal Bridges, this team is already on a different level. It's like having another OG Anunoby. Could you imagine that? Having 2 OG Anunobys on this team? It would be ridiculous. And that's what Mikal Bridges is capable of if he's able to lock in and focus and gain that chemistry with this team. I think it's only a matter of time. But right now, I can understand the criticism. I just don't understand why you would criticize the offensive end when really we traded for him to give us that lockdown defense against anybody, any opposing star on any team on any given night. And we're not getting that. So that's why I'm upset. That's where my frustration is. But what about you guys? Are you more upset with Mikal Bridges and his offense, his defense, or the entire package? Maybe you're not upset with Mikal Bridges. Maybe for you, Mikal Bridges on this team is still good. He just needs a little bit more time to gain chemistry and make sure he becomes that player that we know he can become. Let me know where you guys are in the comments because I really want to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed these clips from the live show, be sure to subscribe to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss any new episodes or when we go live. Thanks for watching, Knicks fans, and until next time, peace.